Welcome to Ask Prep, your trusted companion for UPSC and IAS preparation. Today, we turn our focus to an indispensable topic in ethics and society, which is education as a fundamental right. Education is not merely a means of personal development, but a powerful tool for social transformation and economic progress. Recognized as a fundamental right under the Indian Constitution, education ensures that every child has access to the knowledge and skills required to lead a life of dignity and contribute meaningfully to society. For UPSC aspirants, understanding education as a fundamental right is critical as it intersects with key topics like social justice, constitutional provisions, human development, and sustainable growth. The journey of education in India, from being a directive principle to a justiciable right, reflects the country's evolving commitment to equity and inclusivity in nation-building. Through this session, we will examine the historical evolution, constitutional provisions, challenges, and way forward for education in India. By exploring this topic in depth, you'll gain insights into how education serves as the cornerstone for building a progressive, equitable, and empowered society. So, without further delay, let's get started. Introduction: Education is the foundation of personal growth, social progress, and economic development. It equips individuals with the knowledge, skills, and values needed to lead fulfilling lives and contribute meaningfully to society. Recognizing its transformative potential, the Indian Constitution guarantees education as a fundamental right under Article 21, ensuring free and compulsory education for children aged 6 to 14. This landmark provision, introduced through the 86th Constitutional Amendment in 2002, reflects India's commitment to creating an equitable and inclusive society. Education not only reduces inequalities but also empowers individuals to participate in democratic processes, achieve economic independence, and challenge systemic barriers. Despite significant strides in improving access to education, challenges such as infrastructure deficits, high dropout rates, and quality disparities remain. Strengthening education as a fundamental right is crucial for achieving India's vision of sustainable development, gender equality, and a knowledge-based economy. Historical context: Pre-independence era. Education in India during the pre-independence period was largely exclusionary and limited to the privileged few, governed by caste, class, and gender biases. The rigid social structure restricted education to upper caste males, sidelining women, lower castes, and marginalized communities. Key developments during this period are traditional education systems. Ancient India had well-established systems of education, such as Gurukulas and Buddhist viharas, but these were often exclusive and restricted. Caste-based hierarchies dictated access to knowledge, leaving large sections of society, especially Dalits and women, excluded from formal learning. Colonial influence. The British colonial administration introduced a formal education system focused on creating clerks and bureaucrats for administrative purposes. This system was neither inclusive nor aimed at universal education but catered to the needs of the colonial government. The Macaulay Minute, 1835, and the establishment of universities in major cities like Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras emphasized English medium education but ignored rural and marginalized populations. Reform movements. Social reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy advocated for women's education and worked to challenge regressive practices such as child marriage and the ban on widow remarriage. Mahatma Gandhi emphasized basic education, Nai Talim, which integrated vocational training with moral and physical development to make education practical and universal. Efforts by Jyotirao Phule and Savitribai Phule focused on providing education to marginalized communities and women, challenging caste and gender discrimination. Nationalist movements. The demand for universal education became a part of the broader nationalist struggle for independence. Leaders argued that education was essential for achieving self-reliance and democracy in a free India. Post-independence era, Directive Principles of State Policy, DPSP. Article 45 of the Constitution placed the responsibility on the state to provide free and compulsory education to children up to the age of 14 within 10 years of the Constitution's adoption. This provision reflected the aspirations for universal education but remained non-justiciable, meaning it was not enforceable in a court of law. Educational initiatives. The Kothari Commission, 1964-66, laid the foundation for a national education policy, emphasizing a common school system to ensure equal opportunities for all. Efforts like the establishment of Kendriya Vidyalayas and Navodaya Vidyalayas aimed to improve access to quality education, particularly in rural areas. Shift to fundamental right. Despite progress, the lack of enforcement mechanisms under the DPSP led to slow implementation, with high dropout rates and disparities persisting across gender, caste, and regions. Recognizing the need for stronger legal backing, the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, 2002, introduced Article 21A, making education a fundamental right. It mandated the state to provide free and compulsory education to all children aged 6 to 14. This was further operationalized through the Right to Education (RTE) Act, 2009, which laid down specific provisions for quality education, infrastructure, teacher-student ratios, and inclusive practices. Impact of the amendment. The elevation of education to a fundamental right marked a significant shift in India's approach, making it enforceable through the judiciary. It ensured that no child could be denied access to education, empowering marginalized groups and fostering a more equitable society. Key features: 1. Right to Education, RTE, Act, 2009. The RTE Act provides the legislative framework for implementing Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, ensuring that every child has access to free and compulsory education. It is a landmark in India's commitment to universal education. Key provisions of the RTE Act. Free and compulsory education. The Act mandates that all children aged 6 to 14 years are entitled to free education in a neighborhood school. Free includes the absence of school fees, textbooks, uniforms, and other expenses. Reservation for underprivileged children. Private unaided schools, excluding minority institutions, must reserve 25% of seats for children from economically weaker sections, EWS, and disadvantaged groups. The government reimburses schools for these seats. Prohibition of discrimination. Schools cannot discriminate against students based on caste, religion, gender, or socio-economic background. Practices like screening children or parents during admission are strictly prohibited. Ban on corporal punishment. The Act bans corporal punishment and mental harassment of students to ensure a safe and nurturing learning environment. School infrastructure norms. The Act prescribes minimum standards for school infrastructure, such as adequate classrooms, separate toilets for boys and girls, drinking water facilities, and playgrounds. Schools failing to meet these norms risk losing recognition. Teacher qualifications and training. Teachers must meet specified academic qualifications and undergo training programs to ensure quality teaching. Special focus on dropouts. The Act provides mechanisms to identify and reintegrate out-of-school children, especially those who have dropped out due to poverty or other barriers. Importance of education as a fundamental right. Empowerment and social mobility. Enhances individual capabilities and reduces inequality. Provides a pathway for marginalized groups to overcome socio-economic barriers. Economic growth. Builds a skilled workforce essential for national progress. Promotes innovation and entrepreneurship. Democracy and citizenship. Fosters informed and active citizenry. Strengthens democratic institutions by promoting awareness of rights and duties. Gender equality. Empowers girls and women, reducing gender disparities in literacy and employment. Challenges in implementation. Infrastructure deficits. Inadequate schools, classrooms, and basic facilities, particularly in rural areas. Teacher shortages. Lack of qualified teachers affects the quality of education. Dropout rates. High dropout rates among disadvantaged children due to poverty and cultural factors. Quality of education. Focus on enrollment often overlooks the quality of teaching and learning outcomes. Digital divide. Unequal access to technology hampers online education for underprivileged students. Government initiatives. Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. A holistic program integrating elementary, secondary, and higher secondary education. Midday meal scheme. Enhances school enrollment and nutrition. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Promotes education for girls and combats gender biases. Digital India campaign. Expands digital infrastructure for education in remote areas. NEP 2020. Aims to revamp the education system with a focus on universal access, skill development, and equity. Solutions to strengthen education as a fundamental right. Enhanced funding. Allocate a higher percentage of GDP to education. Focus on quality. Improve teacher training and introduce innovative teaching methods. Public-private partnerships. Collaborate with private entities to enhance infrastructure and resources. Leveraging technology. Expand access to digital education through low-cost devices and internet connectivity. Community participation. Engage local communities to monitor school functioning and promote accountability. Conclusion. Education as a fundamental right is a powerful tool for transforming lives and societies. While significant progress has been made since its recognition, challenges persist in ensuring universal access, quality, and inclusivity. By addressing these issues with focused policies and sustained efforts, India can harness the full potential of education to build an equitable, prosperous, and empowered society. An educated mind is the strongest pillar of a thriving democracy and an inclusive nation. At Ask Prep, we aim to bring such insights to help you prepare better for your UPSC and IAS examinations. Thank you. This is Ask Prep, Ask Us Anything, your guide to mastering UPSC and IAS preparation. Let's decode complex topics and simplify your journey to success.